The what, the why, the what.
The what? Plantar fasciitis. Looking at the foot, it has an incredibly intricate design. It's made up of over 100 muscles and 26 tiny bones. And then you have 4 arches, 2 running long and 2 running across. Now the way these arches are structured, the foot functions like a nice coiled spring to help lightly push you along when you're walking or running. Now, if you have the right mechanics in your foot, even with that fragile design, it is strong enough to kick through a door or even a cinder block. Now, underneath the foot, you have the plantar fascia. It runs from the ball of your foot to the heel. Now, the function of the plantar fascia is to provide support to the bottom of the foot and support to the arch. Now, as that arch starts to collapse down into the plantar fascia, it will create inflammation. And then you're told you have plantar fasciitis. Plantar meaning foot, fasciitis meaning inflammation of that fascia. In this scenario, the body will actually continue to lay down more tissue in the bottom of the foot to help provide that extra support. But this tissue and these adhesions and calcifications are not as flexible as muscle. So they're not going to be elastic when you're walking or running, and it will provide more and more inflammation and more stiffness and more pain over time. So if you don't take care of this issue, it will just get worse and worse. The why. So if you're told you have plantar fasciitis, let's dig a little deeper as to why this actually happened. Because plantar fasciitis is not something that you just catch. Honey, I think I picked up some plantar fasciitis from the showers at the gym. Now the reason why the arch of the foot would actually start to collapse and aggravate that plantar fascia is because the muscles inside the foot, those deep intrinsic muscles, have become weak. And this is not something that happens overnight. This is a long-term buildup when you have a loss of blood supply and nerve supply to the foot. Now, why does that happen? Well, say you're someone that walks on their toes, or you just have poor walking or running mechanics, or maybe you wear high heels a lot. In this scenario, the calf, which is actually a pump, and its job is to functionally push that blood down and back from the foot. Well, if the calf is locked up in that position and you're not dorsiflexing correctly, you're actually limiting the amount of blood supply, therefore oxygen, that you can get to those muscles of the foot. And they will start to weaken over time. But anytime there is a foot issue, you have to remember that doesn't happen in isolation. There's usually going to be something else going on at the knees, hips, or even the lower back. Because the nerves coming off that lumbar spine and the sacrum are responsible for innervating everything below, including the foot. So remembering that it's all connected will be essential. So when you're doing your exercise video sessions that I build for you, I'll give you the right alignment for all of your leg work to help alleviate and fix this dysfunction. But keeping our focus on what's going on specifically with the foot, I want you to think of that plantar fasciitis issue as really a loss of stability and a loss of motor control. Now what that means is of all these 100 muscles that are in the foot, if your mechanics are not right and you're walking or running incorrectly, well, what's going to happen to some of these muscles? Yes, they become weak, but it's more so that your mind-body connection on how to actually use your foot starts to break down. So you have to look at this kind of like a small paralysis, where there's motions that maybe you did as a child when you didn't have foot pain, that now, walking and running, you are not actually stabilizing your foot the right way, and the motions within the foot are not happening correctly. So until you teach your body how to really stabilize that arch of the foot while you're walking and running, you're really never going to fix that long-term plantar fasciitis. Which brings me to the what. What can you do to help fix your plantar fasciitis? Well, let's start with a few things that you should probably not be doing. 1, don't go and get a more supportive cushioned shoe or even an orthotic. Because if your foot is having trouble stabilizing the arch and you need to get that motion going to help bring that blood and nutrients and rebuild those muscles, the worst possible thing you can do is immobilize it with a support or an orthotic. Plus, with that support, what will happen is you might find that your knees will start to drop together over time as your body's still trying to get medial connection to the inside of the foot. Plus, orthotics aren't cheap. You're going to get molds and new orthotics at least once or twice a year. Your next option, and unfortunately is incredibly popular, is a cortisone shot. That will give you some short-term relief, but you have to realize that that is going to destroy the joint cartilage and not allow your foot to regenerate properly. And the cortisone shot doesn't do anything to help improve the biomechanics of the foot, which is really the root of the issue. And you also have your anti-inflammatories, your NSAIDs, Tylenol, Aleve, ibuprofen. Unfortunately, with that, same thing. You're sabotaging your long-term health and results because NSAIDs do not allow your body's proteoglycan production to happen, which is really what allows your cartilage to rebuild. So you're never going to heal in the way that you'd really want to have long-term effective results. Now, an anti-inflammatory diet can be incredibly helpful during this scenario, and I can help you with this in your Individualized Nutrition Plan. But back to the exercises, what can you really do? So if you're not moving a lot, honestly, one of the best things to do is get moving. So that's a good option. But a great option is to work on the motor control and the stability of the arch of your foot with just a few simple exercises. So a few of the good options that you can do to get moving are first, walking, and doing this barefoot as much as possible. And if you can walk outside barefoot, then you get the anti-inflammatory effects of grounding to the earth. You can also try doing some calf raises. Now this might give you a little bit of relief, but unfortunately if you have a lot of dysfunction in your foot, it might not help too much. Another thing you can try is alternating a cross crawl pattern while sitting in a chair and slowly extending your toes back. And you want to be doing this alternating because that will really fire up both sides of the brain and get the healing to happen even faster. You can also try doing toe curls using a towel. But unfortunately with this exercise, if you're already a toe gripper, meaning your toes get hammered up and are tense, well, this could actually cause more dysfunction in the foot and not help you in that long-term goal. So a lot of these simple get moving exercises can offer you some relief as they get the blood flowing and start some healing. However, if you have long-term plantar fasciitis or you have a lot of dysfunction in your foot, unfortunately these exercises will only take you so far. You might not get the long-term relief you're looking towards until you shift your focus. Now that means that rather than doing the exercises that you already know how to do well and recruit the muscles that you're already connected to, you need to shift the focus to the things that you can't do that well. Now that means you have to do a simple assessment to see what motions you're really limited in. Now your feet should be able to move almost every way that your hands can. But I've found in my experience that there is one motion that is so simple but so effective in diagnosing what's really going on with the foot. And this is something that I've never seen someone with a case of plantar fasciitis be able to do well. Yet when they start to practice it and they restore the control, they actually relieve or completely eliminate their symptoms. And it will also help give you that long-term fix because it's going to work on how the foot's actually firing. So to try out this quick assessment, just follow the link below and hopefully you'll be on your way to fixing your plantar fasciitis once and for all. Feel free to reach out if you have any questions at all, and thank you for checking out this video on MyPersonalFitPRO.com.